Hi, Melanie Doty Snipes here, aka Farmer Mel from Snipes Farm and Education Center with the second episode of the chicken to chick adventure. So, in the last episode, we told the story of a hen sitting on an egg, and who remembers how many days she has to sit on that egg? It's a magical number. The number 21. 21 days she has to stay on the egg with 100 degrees under her feathers, helping the chick to grow. But sometimes we can hatch a chick without a hen, and we do this in classrooms. And in order to do that, I actually drive to a place called a hatchery, which I will be doing soon, and pick up eggs that have actually been in a giant incubator. A giant incubator, which is a warmed space, and guess what temperature it has to be? 100 degrees. Those eggs would have been in the incubator and turned at least 3 times a day. And I pick the eggs up at about day 18 out of 21. And that's when I deliver the eggs to classrooms. So here's an incubator. So in this case, the incubator is made out of styrofoam, so it holds on to the heat. We have to plug it in, so it has electricity keeping it going. And there's actually a little adjuster here, which I actually have taped so that it's just right at the right spot. But you can probably see the word thermostat. So it's a pretty simple little gizmo, and you turn it in one direction to increase the temperature if you need to, meaning make it higher, or you turn it in the other direction in order to make it lower. And so when it comes to a classroom, the first thing that happens the day that the eggs are arriving is that the teachers and students make sure it's plugged in and make sure that they've tested it and they've adjusted it so that the thermometer inside the incubator is at 100 degrees. There's one other thing that needs to happen, and that is that a little bit of water is put into the bottom. There's a little plastic pan under here, and some water is put in the plastic pan, a certain amount, so that it stays a little bit humid and moist in there, and a little water has to get added every single day. Because underneath the chicken, just like all of us, we're constantly perspiring. And we know that especially when we're playing on the playground. We come in from recess and we just feel all sweaty. We know that we have moisture that is coming through our breath and coming out of our bodies through our pores. And that's true for a chicken. So a chicken is constantly going to have some moisture, which is also helping the chick to grow. So I would arrive with the eggs, and we would put them in the incubator, and with a pencil we would put an X on one side and an O on the other side. And so 3 times a day, at the beginning of your school day, the middle of your school day, the end of your school day, you would be turning it from the X side to the O side to the X side, and just making sure that it stays turned. Always putting the lid back on and making sure that the thermometer is tucked in there and nice and visible. And so pretty much for those days of school, that is your only job, adding a little bit of water every day and making sure that the temperature is always at 100. That is all you do. And that's for and that is for several days, and then like over the weekend, nobody would be turning it. Just like the hen, in the last days before hatching, the hen would not be turning the eggs at all. She would just be still. And so the chicks are just sort of gathering their strength and their energy, and then they're going to start to peck their way out. So that's the basic process with an incubator. This acts as the hen, and a classroom is actually like one big mother hen taking care of the eggs until they hatch. Once the chicks hatch, then we need something called a brooder. The chicks can actually stay inside the incubator up to 24 hours. But the brooder is going to be their first home as chicks. And a brooder is simply a box that has a little bit of bedding. In this case, I put some hay. So the bedding is very important because you want the environment to stay nice and tidy, and you might want to add a little bit more bedding every day. Because, of course, you're going to have to be making sure that the chicks have two very important things. Their food, which in this case is organic feed, and it has different kinds of grains and beans and minerals and all kinds of yummy things. And besides food, what do you think we need? Yeah, we're going to need water. So this is their waterer. And even though they are hatched, they are babies. And so they are going to need heat. And it doesn't have to stay 100 degrees, but it still has to stay pretty warm. So we are going to have a lamp on the top of the brooder. And usually this is clipped somewhere up top so that the lamp isn't directly on the screen. But they are really going to appreciate that heat, and especially in the first week or two, they always need a nice steady heat source. And so that's pretty much what happens. When there's no hen, you have an incubator. The incubator keeps the eggs nice and warm, gives them a place to hatch, and then they go to the brooder. And once they get big enough, they can actually go to a chicken coop that is, has space, and then they do the rest of their growing. So that's pretty much what you need in order to see a chick from the last days of its growing to the first days and first weeks of it in the world as a baby chick. And it's very, very exciting. So in the next episode, we will learn about hatcheries. What is a hatchery? Thanks for joining.